Hello, this is Darren and welcome to another repair video. In this video we are looking at this iPhone 14 Pro. As you can clearly see, it is fairly beaten up. So really all that needs to be done with this phone is it just needs that back glass. So we're going to get into this. Now the very first thing that you're going to want to do, besides turning the phone off, is you're going to want to disconnect the screen. So to do that, get your penelope screws out, get the screen out. Now, I'm noticing that these little guys down here are pretty dirty, so we gotta get that cleaned out. Also, the bottom grill is a little dirty in general, so I'm gonna give that a bit of a scrub. Now, the reason why you want to clean out this gunk out of these screw holes is because if you don't, there is a possibility that you may end up stripping the screw, and which being it is a royal pain to get these screws out if they are stripped. Now, I've already got my heat plate turned on, and it's nice and warm and toasty at 90 degrees Celsius. Which is just a hair under 200 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's drop that on there. We got the screws out, get it up to temperature. I don't leave it on for very long, usually about maybe 3, at the absolute max, 5 minutes. From my experience, it can stay on there for quite a while before it becomes a problem, but you don't want to risk it if you can. So just leave it on, maybe 3 minutes, check it to feel if it's hot to the touch. If it is, take it off immediately, and then you can start removing the screen. So we got it nice and toasty now. I just gotta go and toss on a suction cup, and we can get this screen off. Now, if there's any of the parts, equipment, supplies, etc. that I'm using in my videos that would be of use to yourself, I do have Amazon affiliate links in the video description. You can find them there, which I make a small, tiny little commission off of. Now, when you're getting the screen out, you got to start off with pumping it. And then once you've got the tiniest of gaps, you see a tiny gap has started, put a little bit of alcohol across that, and that will help loosen it up further. And you just keep pumping it. As it loosens up more, then you can add more alcohol. And see there, it's coming up. More alcohol. Now, at this point when you get up, you're looking to get in from the corners first. You see I've split that one up nicely. On the odd occasion with these phones, sometimes the screen separates from the frame and it turns into a very precarious situation that you really don't want to deal with, as the top here has cables. And if that happens, where you find that this frame, this plastic bit right there, right here, just underneath the screen, splits away, you need to get that up, but you can't get it up from the top. You got to come in from the side. So when that happens for me, I take a razor blade and I jam it down in between the screen and the frame, right on a perfect 90 degree down until it gets in. Then I dribble alcohol in and I slowly work it up until it comes loose. Otherwise, you can damage the screen. And it's really important just to take note here, I am removing the screen to do a back glass replacement. You might wonder, well, it's all on the outside. Why do I need to remove the screen? Well, the reason's quite simple. When you have the screen in place, you are locking in all the smoke, the dust, all the soot that's left over from the laser burning the glue out and the paint from the back. And you really don't want that to stay inside the phone. So by taking the screen out, it prevents that from staying inside. That decreases the smell. But there's another thing too. That dust has been known in the past. I have read reports of people that have had cameras go foggy because of not removing the screen. And I've also read reports, and I've had this happen to myself as well, actually, where pieces of glass get in behind the screen and the shields, and it causes dead pixels to form because of the pressure when you put it in the clamp to go and secure the new back glass in place. So you really should remove the screen. Don't take chances. It's just not worth it. You'll learn your lesson after. I've had it happen at twice now, I think. and I thought that it was just a one-off, that something stupid happened. The second time it happened, I just said no more of this. There we go. We got that screen off. Turn it back on just to make sure that everything is still good. If you damage the screen at all in the process of removing it, you'll quickly see it around here. Maybe even red or blue lines, green lines going up and down the screen. We can see clearly the screen is still perfectly functional. Very good. I'm not going to show this bit on camera, but you do have a bunch of screws that need to be removed. You got all of these. This is all one plate. There is a plate underneath here as well. I don't think it is important at the moment, but there's also a screw that's hidden right in the top right here, right where the earpiece, the earpiece bit thing is. So that all needs to be removed first in order to get the screen out, but also do not forget to disconnect the battery. Well, I got a call while I was working and I just kept at it, but I got the screen disconnected and I just wanted to mention something. A lot of times you get a lot of dirt in the little edges right around here. What I do is I take a pair of tweezers and I just scrape along the edges with them to get the dirt out. And you just keep going through it until it's all out. And then afterwards you can give it a blowout with one of these puffball thingies. I've already done all this. After that, you want to get yourself some cotton swabs with alcohol on them and you go through the whole thing. Just make sure that that whole area is clean. I do not have a seal for this, but the seal itself is in good condition, and usually I would replace it, but if I don't have a seal for it, my only options are to remove the seal if it's really badly damaged, and then put E8000 glue in, or if the seal is in good shape as it is, you use the seal that's already present. Make sure that there's no dirt in there so that when you put the screen back in, that's going to have a nice, proper, clean seal. So yes, generally speaking, yes, pretty much always it is the best option to replace the seal if you can. Same thing with the screen itself. There's always dirt around the edges, and I've already done this, but cotton swab, lots of alcohol, and you just rub it along the edges and get all that dirt off of the edges of the screen itself. So the phone at this point is just about ready to go underneath the laser to loosen up the glue behind the back glass. And there is one thing that I always do at this step to make sure that there's no damage caused. But there's you got two cameras and the sensor. You need to cover that up with a little bit of tape. And the tape that I always use is Captain tape. Usually this is used to protect things from heat and other stuff like that, but it works surprisingly well to cover up lenses, to protect them from dust and glass, etc. And when you get this underneath the laser, and it doesn't leave any residue on the sensors either, and that's the primary reason that I use this tape. So this right here is the Refox laser machine. I can't remember the exact model. But you can get them from the Rewa website. Oh, there it is right there. LM-80B. It's based off of a Linux distribution. That's what they've got set up for it. Now, I've already logged myself in. The password for it is a whole bunch of ones. You need to, if you don't do this, then you can't get things set up as you want it to. But if I go into here, you'll see it says login. This is what it usually looks like, and this is blank. There's no template there. You gotta go down to administrator, type in the password, always is a bunch of ones. And then from there, it's just a matter of going over to file, or this little guy right here, open, and I'm gonna look for the 14 Pro. I think it might be at the top. There it is. Right there. So I just double clicked. I've got the phone all ready. As we saw earlier. I did an iPhone 12 in this just a little while ago, a few minutes ago, something like that. On the keyboard, I am going to press F1, and this checks to make sure everything is good. Oh, printer geometry is out of alignment. It does that when the image itself is outside of the border. Let's try that again. Still needs to be more. There. So things are a little bit out of alignment right now, as you can clearly see. You can see it sometimes reflecting off the top there. So I'm just going to adjust things until it gets into its proper location. That's going to take a little bit of time. I usually just use the arrow keys, and you can step it up. Right now it's set to 0.1 millimeters, and I'm going to start off with there, but as you go, you can adjust it down to 0.01. So that's a good place to start, is 0.1. Keep it active while you're doing this. And you can't see it right now, but it is a lot more centralized in person than it is through the camera. It's not seeing it all. But yeah, I'm going to get that done. Now I rarely have to do this, but it's not balancing out correctly all the way to the edges. I don't like doing this because it's hard to get the adjustment right, but there's a little button up here that says focus. You gotta just make sure nothing is blocking the tray. It is not. Press the focus button, and it moves it up and down to make sure that I can get the adjustment. Did that fix it? You see right there at the bottom now? It's actually over adjusted. Well, I chucked in this iPhone 12 that I was working on earlier. I still need to clean it up a little bit, but I chucked that into there and I redid the focus, and it seems to have worked out well. It's pretty darn close. You also got to keep in mind you don't want the laser hitting those lenses. So as I'm looking at those lenses, I'm keeping an eye on them and just making sure that there is no laser hitting those. It doesn't look like there is. No, I don't see one. So I'm going to escape. I'm going to plug in my vent. Now this is really important. You badly want this to be vented. It stinks terribly, and I can guarantee that this is a carcinogen. You want this vented out of your house, or out of your shop, or wherever you're at. So I'm going to put this keyboard up top. I'm going to go and put my vent. And you're going to notice inside there, if you guys want something that works really well for ventilating, you can get yourself. This is just a vent for like a bathroom. That's all it is. But you'll notice I got a lot of white caulking there. That's because these things are full of holes. Absolutely stuffed full of them. You badly need to go and clog those up if you want your fan to pull properly. So at this point, all you have to do is on your keyboard press F2. There's also an option on the screen itself just to start it, but I just hit F2, and there we go. But this takes about 5 minutes, maybe 5.5. That's all there is to it. Now, because of the powdered finish on this with the iPhone 14 Pro, it makes it a lot harder for the laser to get through. So I have actually done multiple passes on this just to get it all through. A lot of passes, in fact. I believe I'm at the point, though, that it should be good enough. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to bring down my exhaust fan to suck up all the soot and dust that's come up from the paint. And I'm going to start at this. It's going to use a combination of the heat gun. Still going to need the heat gun for this, because no matter how hard you try, it's never good enough. It always never gets through completely. Get my gloves ready. These are supposed to be like slash proof. They're not pierce through proof. They're definitely not pierce proof. I have occasionally gotten glass slivers come through these gloves, but they still protect your hands a fair bit. I recently washed them. I just put them in a sink and used lots of soap because they just got really black. But all I'd like to do first when I'm getting into there is I start off just, I don't want to use this. This one is brand new razor blade. I don't want to use a new one. I want to use an older one. One that I'm sure doesn't matter. It's just a pry tool. I have used the professional pry tools that come with like the machine here, and I just didn't find them to be that successful. So I found that razor blades are the best solution to get through this and to get through this quickly. But yeah, I start off first just prying away what I can get out, and then when I get to parts that I just can't can't get loose, that's when I start switching back to the heat gun. So let's just get some of this up first, and we're going to time lapse some of this until I get to a point where I got to show you that. Now, before I actually start up the time lapse, I just remembered something. Right across here is part of MagSafe, so you'll need to use the heat gun to get that up. But also, if you do not have a hole to start with, like what I had a really nice convenient hole to start with. You have to use a glass punch. That's what this little guy is here. You want to make sure that it's not going to be like too powerful. You don't want to send huge dents into the glass or the metal below. But if you find that you're in an area that needs to have more glass shards, like separated out into cubes, that's all you need to do. Just do it a few times until you're happy. I'm not going to do it on this one. I'm kind of at the point where I like the length of the glass as it is. I'm going to take advantage a lot of the length and the heat gun to pull up the bits that are around the edges here, because there's a whole bunch of magnets for MagSafe all around this, and you want to try to keep them in place as well as you possibly can without damaging the phone, because you're going to be using a lot of heat to get the glue that's underneath sticking the magnets to the back of that glass. So just be careful. This is a good opportunity right now to show you what I was talking about for heat. This whole area down here, a lot of it still has the original glue in place. All you do, get the heat gun, hot, up to temperature. I've just locked down the clamp on this. Any of the tools I'm using in this video, heat gun, this clamp, I think I have a affiliate link for as well. I think I even have these up there, I think. But yeah, any of the tools or equipment, supplies that I use in my videos, for the most part, you can find Amazon affiliate links in the video description. I make a tiny little profit off of those links when you use those to make purchases. So I'm just heating this up, and I'm starting to pry up slowly. You don't want to go in too deep. You're just right on the edge. You don't want to go into an area that could be sensitive, because you got cables from the charge port underneath there. And if you damage one of these cables, you will need to replace the charge port, and that is not a fun job. It doesn't take long to do. No, it's not an expensive repair. The parts usually around between, like, say, as cheap as $5 and $20, but it really adds a lot to the repair time. I fortunately have never damaged one, but I have damaged a flash before. Now, that was a huge pain. I think that took me an extra hour, despite the fact the part was only $5. But as you can see, I'm just heating it up. I'm just levering it up slowly on the edge. See how it comes up with the heat? Quite easily. I'm just being very, very careful around those cables. I'll go over this section here later on with a very tiny jewel screwdriver or flathead, just to get the little glass remnants out. You're just trying to get it peeled up and out of the way. And that's what I'm going to be doing throughout this whole little area here. There's also cables right here. So it may come to a point where you have to stop digging at it from this side, and you'll have to get out this section first before you move on. So that's that. Let's get back to time lapse. Where I've got the majority of the glass all out from around the edges of the lenses. Now we gotta get into the insides. And this part can be difficult. Sometimes I go back in with my glass breaker tool, but if I have enough gouges that are already present, you just try wiggling in there and just pushing. And that might be enough. And that, if it isn't, then try to wiggle in with the chisel blade and get in there a bit more. I usually start in from the left side of the phone or from this side. This side is almost impossible. But yeah, if you can't get in, just try to get in there a little bit more and see if you can wiggle in just a little deeper with the chisel blade to lift up the glass from underneath, and then you can start pushing it. You can see that piece came out quite easily, and just keep working at it, getting those slivers out as you go. The whole point to this bit is really making gaps. As you make gaps in the glass, it gives you leverage. The more leverage you have, easier it is to get stuff out. See, I got that piece going, it's loose. There we go. That piece should come out now. It's kind of like the strangest jigsaw puzzle you'd ever imagine. See all that cleared out? Now we can start working our way through the little bits that are remaining on the right side. It's important also to get the glue that's stuck underneath there, because this area will not be cleared out by the laser. It just won't. So if you can, usually this works best. Just go in there with your screwdriver and scrape away the excess glue. That final bit there, just this little bit, is being really stubborn. I see that this little bit here is moving though. You might be able to get it out. Move it back and forth. The sides of the glass will scrape together, and as that happens, it will make more and more of a gap until it just pops out. Just like that. Final piece. Here we have it. Now just a tiny bit of glue right here. Just scrape that out. I still need to put this back underneath the laser to clean up the remaining glue, and we got to get this off as well. This bit can be tough. And you start off from one chunk and then you work up the next chunk like this, and then you slip it on by, and then you can pull it up. Now you've got the welds on this side, not the welds, the soldering joints. Just be careful. You split one of those wires and you're going to have to replace it. Really don't want to do that. I lost another magnet. I want to hold on to this one. I'm driving up there. There we go. It's another on. And that's all I'm doing. I'm just trying to find an angle to get in. And once you get in, then you can just peel it back. And it's going to keep working away at it. This side here, for example, there's a piece of glass that I can see that I can work at right here. So I'm going to go right here in the lift. See? Now I'm not trying to save this plastic that's coating over top of the coil. All I'm trying to do is make a gap so that I can see the MagSafe magnets. You get in there, and then I can pry upwards, just like that. I'm not trying to save anything. I just want to separate the glass away from the magnets. Also keep in mind that you have a coil, an outside coil that's going around there. You do not want to damage that. If you damage it, once again, your coil will be dead. Now it will not be good. And underneath the coil is the battery. So that's another problem, and you don't want to heat this up for too long. If you heat up the battery, it'll make the battery eventually go nuclear. Turn into a very spicy pillow. This whole area for me is pretty easy because it's all been broken up on this section into pieces. It just makes it a lot easier to clear away the excess glass because of those little tiny shards. There we have it. Oh, look at that. 1, 2, 3. That's all I lost for magnets. Just 3 magnets. Let's scrape away. Let's just see if there's any glass around the edges. Doing this is very important because if there's a piece of glass that was missed around the edges and you're trying to put the new back glass in place, you will not find that back glass will sit flat, and it's possible you might even break your back glass. Same thing if there's any pieces that remain. I also have to go and put the little piece of plastic shielding that goes right here. I've got to put that back in place. But I'm not finding any. Seems like it's cleaned up pretty well. This is going right back into the laser machine. Well, we're on to the final stretch. I actually put it through a few more times than what was shown on camera. But you can see how easily everything's just falling away. I think I put it in 3 or 4 times through the laser before I was happy with it. The final step of what we're going to be doing here is just cleanup. I switch out from this really banged up blade and I grab a clean one. Either a new blade or one that's very close to new. Usually a blade that I used to remove these little remainders. This is a pretty straightforward bit here. You just lift up and then you peel it away. There's sometimes a little bit of a bit remaining. You just scrape that off carefully. Something right there, just a little bit. There's lots of glue still remaining on the edges. Just keep that in mind there because we're going to be going back there. There's some right on here. This is an area that's quite hard because of how close it is to that sensor. So the only way to get it off may be to skip the blade and instead use the screwdriver to poke away at it. I'm just scraping it off like this. It's a little bit rubbery, the glue, when it's like this. Cleaned up very nice. All you got left is the glue on the edges. Now that can be difficult sometimes. I don't usually use the blade on the bottom, but the corners, it's great to use it right around here. It should come up relatively easily. It doesn't always come up this easily. The darker the paint is for the backglass, the easier it comes up. You'll find with the white backglass, light blue, or anything that's like that, it's a lot harder. It can almost be impossible. You end up scraping it away with a brush and removing it with the blade manually because it's just so hard, so difficult to get up. This side right here, I think this side should come up relatively easily. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna have to use that flathead jewel screwdriver for a bunch of this as well, just to clean up a little bits that I've missed, or that the laser has missed, I should say. Yeah, no, and myself. See how easily it came up? Gotta be careful around this as well. There's going to be a length along this side. I may not be able to get it up on this side, and that's the simple reason why is because of how the metal is pushing up on that side. It can make it quite difficult. So I'm going to be able to get to a certain point, and then I won't be able to go any further. See, right there. It's right where this black bar is. This section. So that's straight metal that's poking up. So the only way to get that resolved is you have to use the jewel screwdriver flathead, and you're going to scrape it away instead of using the razor blade on it. Be careful, use your thumb to control, and you just keep going at that until it all cleans up. At this point I've got all the glue out. Just a lot of patience, scraping, and done and dusted. It's time to get out all the blackness and the dirt and everything. The easiest way that I've found to do it is just cotton swab and alcohol. I always use the 99%. We're going to go through a few cotton swabs. As you can see, I've got a bunch around my work desk from another phone. See, it's coming up black, and it's going to come up black a lot. I'm going to try to get off as much as possible. And the reason why this is so important of a step is because if you don't get this off, the glue may not adhere very well. I have had times where I didn't do a good enough job, where the glass didn't stick as well as it could have. And that can result in the glass being more easy to break if it's dropped. You can also go over all these pads as well, all the magnets. This little bit right here. Also, I gotta get the magnet off the back of that piece of glass and put that back in its proper place. You'll notice I do have a few dents. You can see there's a dent right here. That's the only dent that I can see. That's a spot where it hits too hard for breaking the glass up. For the most part, I didn't need to go and use it, but you will have some dents no matter how hard you try. No matter how hard you try with this, you will have dents. Okay, that's done. I'm going to go over it several more times, and then I'll get back to you. Also, when you're trying to get these pads clean, you just take out the cotton swab again. You soak it up big time. Soak up the cotton swab with lots of alcohol, and you just run around that adhesive on top of those magnets until it comes clean. It's pretty straightforward. Got everything cleaned up well. Now, what I'd like to do right now is tape down, because that's the only way that I found works well for putting those magnets back in place, is putting a little bit of Kapton tape down to hold it in place. But instead what you need to do is you need to put the screen back in place. So we're going to remove that tape, and I'm going to show you just how much dirt and glass and stuff is behind this. Look at that. You can actually see the marks. Yeah. So it really does work. Those lenses, they're spick and span. Okay, good. You should not put the back glass on until the screen is connected again. It's also a very good time right now to test whether or not there's any issues with the phone after going through all those, removing the back glass. There can be problems that occur after going through that, such as damaged cables, usually around here or around here. So those are things that need to be checked. If you're wondering about the glove, I was working on another phone earlier, and when you're removing the excess glue, it really helps to have a glove. So the screen's plugged in right now. Plug the battery in now. Just put that down there, and we're going to test. Let's see if everything is still working as it's supposed to. Okay, turns on fine. I don't see any particular issues. Now I do need to put this through a whole bunch of tests. I really need to put it through a whole whack of tests. Like, I gotta make sure that the speakers work. I gotta make sure the cameras work. I gotta make sure the flash works. I gotta make sure the microphone works, if I didn't mention that already. Front camera, I gotta make sure that works. Both sensors that I need to make sure are fine and could potentially be damaged in the process of doing that back glass. So at the moment, it looks like everything more or less at this point is okay. So I'm ready to go and turn this off. Get the screws there. This just holds the screen up. That like that, and then we can put this shield back on. Shield's in place. You do really need to make sure with these screws when you take them out that they are in a particular order, because there's a couple of screws that are definitely different from the others. So yeah, I'm telling you guys that a little bit late, but keep that in mind. A tendency I like to do for putting the screen back in is to start at the top. Start right here at the top. Once you get that situated in there, just give it a little bit of wiggle, a little bit of a push, and then you hold down at the top there, not particularly hard, just enough, and then you can push it all back into place. This wire as well is not exactly where it's supposed to be. I'm going to have to put some tape in to hold it into its proper location. There's in fact a groove that it sits in. And I think I've got it in place for most of the groove. It's just in one spot down here at the bottom that it's not doing it. And I can look after that with the tape for that particular spot right here. I think I'm ready to take this glove off for now. It's time to go and put those into their proper spot. To start off with, I'm going to put a little bit of E8000 glue right across the bottom here, right across that battery. And that is where the magnet's going to go back into. I'm going to have to put a little bit of Kapton tape in place there to hold this all in. I broke some of the adhesive. This is going to become slightly more difficult. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and put this together in advance. Put the Kapton tape down. And I'm going to stick those magnets directly to the tape. Okay, let's try that. That took a lot of fiddling. I think I've got it. It's mostly the gap. I can always get the magnets to realign, but the gap between the magnets is the problem. That's sitting flat. If it bunches up on you, the back glass won't sit flat. Never had it happen where I've put it down already and it had popped back up, but that is one thing that you really need to pay attention to. Time to put these magnets in. It's just more Kapton tape, really. Don't need much, maybe 3/4 inch at the absolute most, 1.5 centimeters, something like that, maybe even 1/2 inch. I'm using both terms because I know that a lot of my viewers are American, so I hope this helps. Now, if I can't get these to fit regardless of what I try, it's not the biggest deal in the world if there is a couple of magnets missing. It will still connect perfectly fine. It just upsets me slightly if they're not all in there. 2 more magnets to go. Now I'm ready to go and put the back glass on. I actually had already started recording, but it for some reason wasn't recording, and I'm triple checking now to make sure that it is, and it is. But when it comes to the back glass, there is basically 3 different types of ways to get it. You either, well, let's call it 4. You can get the OEM directly from Apple, and it will not be like this. It will be part of the frame, built into the frame, and that's how it'll be provided, and it's expensive. The other way is also a little bit on the pricey side, but you can get yourself a pole, which means it was taken from another phone, another iPhone that got scrapped. So that's a pretty good way as well. Usually you got levels A, B, C, and even a D level quality, which means that there might be scrapes, scratches, dents in the frame itself. And the other 2 ways is a aftermarket back glass, and it's just for that aftermarket back glass, and that's what you use. These are bigger holes for the camera lenses. They do not go underneath the camera lenses. They hug very close around the camera lenses. And that's what that's how those work. And the 2 different types is one that has no Apple logo and the other type that does have an Apple logo. I'm going to continue putting the glue in because that's what I was doing when I realized suddenly that I wasn't actually recording. So I'm just putting a liberal bead around the edges here. When you're up around the edges, when you're up around the camera area, you just put a little bit of a smudge around this area. You do not want the glue to spread into those sensors. And the same thing with this area here. You don't put a ton of glue, just enough to cover the area. The rest doesn't matter so much. If you put too much glue down the bottom area, it will squish into the phone itself. Especially around this area, it's going to happen no matter what I try to do. You can use E8000 glue for this if you want instead. If you don't have that rubberized glue. I mean, the E8000 is also rubberized glue, but this stuff is easier to dispense. But yeah, you can use that if you don't have this glue that's specifically for back glasses. But yeah, I've already tested more or less to make sure that it fits. It's all good there. And there's nothing like there's no mesh or anything for the speaker, not the speaker, for the microphone. The only thing that might catch is this little, the flash, but it's already centered pretty good. So at this point, I'm just pushing down and I'm spreading it around, pushing, spreading, and just trying to wiggle it around a little bit. I think it's done really good. Just push it in until the excess squeezes out the sides, excuse me. It's sat flat, it's good, it's in place. You're going to take a piece of paper towel, cut off a piece of this, and you're going to tape it to there. And the reason why you got to do this is to protect the press. The sponge inside of there can glue down. I've had this happen before. It can get glued to the screens for the back glass there, and it just makes a mess and makes your sponge just a little bit less usable inside of the clamp. So you just put it like this, press it down against the phone, and tape it in place. Now it doesn't matter about the top and the bottom. Sometimes I put tape on the top and the bottom, but it really doesn't matter. All that matters is that it can slide in comfortably into the clamp. So, oh, that one came up. There we go, push it back down. There. Then I look sideways to make sure it's centered. Then you tighten it down. You don't need to go extremely hard on this tightening. You're just putting it like finger tight. Right about there. There we go. It's really hard to define exactly what I mean by finger tight when it comes to this, but it's about as good as I can describe it. I can't really turn it extremely easily right now. I can turn it a little bit, but I think I'm going to stop there. I still need to put the screws back in. I can do that right now. I mean, I'm basically done. That screen's not coming back up. It's the black screws for the darker colored phones. The red, the blue, and the white, they usually... Where'd it go? The red, blue, and the white, they use silver screws instead of the dark purple-looking screws. I usually take it out of the clamp after about an hour, but you can leave it overnight, and that works great. If you forget about it, it's not a big deal. Actually, it doesn't matter at all, and you just peel off the excess with a nail, or I use a plastic razor blade. That works great too, or you can use one of these picks, and that'll work, as well as pry tools. So, time to let it sit for a bit. I'll get back here. It's been sitting probably, I think, about 2 hours. I usually toss on some gloves when I'm cleaning the excess glue off. You'll have to tear this off if you've used paper towel, because it's not going to come off any other way. There's literally no other way to get it off. You got to tear through it. Now, the paper towel being there does make it a little easier to clean off the excess, shockingly. Once you got all the extra glue peeled off of the phone, then you just finish it off with 99% isopropyl alcohol. Okay, the excess has all been taken off here. At this point, it's just a lot of rubbing. I just take a paper towel piece and I chop it up into little chunks, just like that, you know, tiny. And you soak it up with some alcohol and you give it a rub. Give it a good rub down. It'll get rid of all the excess pieces that are just floating there. This takes a little bit of time, maybe an extra 5 minutes, but it really makes it look good. Once that's done, then it's done. Yeah. And that's it. It's done and dusted. We're good to go. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please do leave a like, and if you want to see more of my stuff, subscribe. We'll see you guys all in another video. Bye.